All right, everyone. Welcome to Mr. Hancock's English course. This video is for Comp 2 for research, why we do research and what research is and what's it for. But also let me say this, if you see this video in the Comp 1 class, it's very interchangeable. I focus it usually on one particular one, but the content itself about why we research, that goes to any course, okay? So don't let it confuse you if I'm talking about one particular course at a time. But anyway, the whole idea of research, why do we have to do research? And it's not just because your instructors tell you, hey, you have to have research in this paper. You have to think about what research is. And the number one thing is this. You have to understand that you're scholars, okay? In these classes, even though you're a student in college, you're still working on scholarly contribution, okay? And with that being said, with you being a scholar, you are contributing to the pot, all right? So all the scholars, everybody's putting everything in the pot and they're working off of each other, okay? And so that's what you have to think about with the resources and all the research that you're doing. In order for you to come to a conclusion about something, you can't just be by yourself. You have to consider what other people have done, what they're saying, okay? So just for example's sake, let's get away from literature for a minute and think about something, say, in the medical field. How do we know what we know about the heart today, okay? And how does that different from what we knew 50 years ago and 50 before that, 100 years ago, okay? What did we know? And we know today what we know now because of what other people did. And you can apply this to any field. So someone does work, and then the next generation or the people that come do work on top of the previous work, okay? And so they're building upon it. So that's where research comes in. We go and we look back at what other people did. And we see what has already been accomplished, what other people are saying, where the research is headed, and then we contribute and add on to that to take it further. That's why you're doing research, okay? So when you go in and say, all right, this poem has this idea, it's doing two things. Number one, you're trying to show how you have other people to back you up and show that you're not alone here, but also you're showing how you are adding and contributing to that quality academic field, okay? So that's what you're doing. Give yourself credit and understand that's why you're using research. Because when you move into other classes, either say you're transferring or going into major courses or even just other upper level electives, you're required to use research no matter what field you're in, because you have to show that you're building your ideas off of what other people have done. You're analyzing and contributing. That's what matters in the real world, okay? So that's why we really want to think about why we're using sources. There's a lot to say about this, and frankly, I'm trying to make sure I'm hitting the main points because I want to talk for 2 hours, but I can't, obviously. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Now, really fast, I told you in the last video, I told you I wanted you to open up in Unit 1 the analytical essay writing handout. So pause it right now really quick and go open that or print it or get it out of your folder, whatever it is, before we move in, okay? So let's talk about it. We skipped a bubble, and that's the second bubble that says do background research. Okay, we weren't doing research in the last paper, so we kind of skipped it. Now this one we are. If this essay is using research, you want to consider this bubble. And this is called a review of the literature or a literature review. It depends on what field you're in. They're called different things. But all this means is before you come to a conclusion for a thesis, before you go out and pick out your sources, you're going to go out there and just see what other people are saying. And this could be a very basic Google search, which you don't want to use Google or really weird websites in your paper. But right now we're just looking to see what people are saying. That'll give us an idea. Think of the question funnel in your handout. Think about this whole scientific process. You're going to start broad with broad questions and looking at stuff really broad. And the further you go, it'll lead you to more specific things to where you get very tailored with your questions, with your sources and everything, okay? And so really look and just see what other people are saying. That will help you develop your ideas. It'll help you give you an idea of what the poem is more about. And then you may start to discover sources, all right? And I'll talk about the types of sources in another video here in a few minutes, okay? But anyway, pay attention to that bubble and look around and see what other people are saying. Okay? You have to do that. You have to start with questions and you have to see what other people are asking as well. Okay? So that's the main thing I wanted to say here. The next video is going to go into what types of sources are and how to use them really. And I'll go into that and the other website links on the Blackboard as well. Okay? So I'll see you in the next video.